Happy Easter. To celebrate, the Republican Party has resurrected the COVID-19 lab leak theory. I actually kind of like this website logo because it makes it look like Trump is the lab leak, which I guess makes sense because they have about as much evidence to support him being the lab leak as they do to support the lab leak origin theory itself. It's sad because this used to be the COVID.gov website, which provided resources about COVID-19 and the pandemic, and now it redirects to this bullshit. Hi, my name is Joe Thomas. I'm a hospitalist physician. I use social media to talk about public health, reproductive justice, and fighting misinformation. The info I'm going to talk about in this video comes from a March 8th, 2023 article from The New Republic written by Melody Schreiber, who's one of my favorite science and medical journalists. They tried to make this case that year when the Department of Energy and the FBI both assessed in these reports that revealed low confidence that COVID-19 spread due to a lab mishap. They didn't talk about a bioengineered virus or bioweapon. The reports don't say that. They say that it was probably a lab accident that resulted in spread through humans, which still means that it spilled over from wildlife into humans at some point, and the human transmission is what was noted in the intelligence report. Republicans have been trying to claim that that supports the lab leak origin theory, except they don't have the evidence to actually support that. This website now claims that the virus's characteristics are not found in nature. That's just not true. We have assessed this, we've compared it to mechanisms of viruses, other coronaviruses, and SARS-CoV-1, and there are characteristics that are found in nature. The website claims that it was a single introduction event. Also not true. There's evidence of at least 2 different spillover events at the seafood market in Hunan. Because, I'm sorry if I mispronounced the name there. Because there are 2 different lineages of SARS-CoV-2 that originated there. Of course, the people that would investigate this further from the CDC, they got fired by the Department of Governmental Efficiency. Great. So that pretty much stalls out on that. How convenient. The lab in Wuhan was looking at viruses, but people keep talking about gain-of-function research. Except that lab doesn't do that much gain-of-function research on coronaviruses. The closest known virus that they have at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, RATG13, is still vastly different from SARS-CoV-2. They are 96.2% similar, but that 3.8% is well over 1,100 mutations. It would be impossible to get from one to the other, because that's just too many mutations to overcome. All of that said, there's still plenty of research that should be done about the origins of SARS-CoV-2, how it evolved, how it did eventually spill over, none of which support the lab leak theory, but understanding as much as we can about this virus and the pandemic that it caused help us to figure out what to do for the next pandemic. Or would if anybody in the current administration wanted to bother to do that, instead of just hacking and slashing away at the staff members and the agencies that would be doing that kind of research. Instead, you get these whiny people talking about prosecute Fauci and imprison Fauci, or they're trying to stoke the anti-Asian racism that was unfortunately far too prevalent in 2020 when COVID first hit. Because for this White House, the best way to get an idea to stick is to include some prejudice with it or to include a scapegoat. Unfortunately, Dr. Fauci didn't lie about gain-of-function research, and there isn't anything to imprison him for. And Asian people had nothing to do with how this virus spread. That's just where it started. If it hadn't started there, it would have started somewhere else. The bottom line is, COVID-19 is real, the pandemic is ongoing and real, even though the peak has thankfully subsided. We still need to protect ourselves, and we need to prepare for the next pandemic. It's unfortunate that this resource, COVID.gov, is gone now and replaced with this garbage website.